I may have jumped the gun on Wes's question the other day when you asked about Klay. I was anticipating that you were going to ask about when Klay was coming back. So when I said, I don't know where that came from. I was referring to when he was coming back. He obviously has been cleared to practice because he's scrimmaging, and so I'd have to look at the videotape. I don't know that we have it, but I probably just anticipated a question that didn't come, so that's my fault. But just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page. So.
I was hoping we could get maybe a more detailed update on James. I mean, I know there was hope that he was going to be part of those 5-on-5s that he wasn't. Just where is he at right now?
Well, the injury, the meniscus tear, is it's an injury where it's not really like a linear improvement, like an ACL or an Achilles. You kind of know, you can kind of map it out. Meniscal tear, you can't really map it out as easily because it's just there's more possibility for a variance in how long it's going to take to recover. So James is doing fine. There's no structural issue. We're just being very, very cautious. He's doing one-on-one stuff, two-on-two stuff, drill work. But Rick is not yet comfortable allowing him to scrimmage. So we're just trying to stay patient and do the best thing we can, and for James, he's such a young guy, and just want to be very cautious with the injury. I think, the biggest thing to me, and I figured this question would start coming up because when he had the injury last season, we talked about him being ready for camp, and that's obviously 2 months behind us. And I didn't understand much about meniscus injury at the time. So I probably said several times last year, yeah, we're hoping he's back for camp or shortly thereafter. And now that I've learned more about it, there's just varying degrees of time frames on recoveries from this kind of injury. And he's obviously a massive guy with a lot of weight that's coming down on that knee. So we're just being very, very cautious. He looks good. He came in here yesterday and scrimmaged on our off day. We got a bunch of guys to come in and play, a couple of our young guys, and then a few other local players. And Klay is just so happy to be out there playing and competing, and so he's in a great frame of mind. The biggest thing is he hasn't played in 2.5 years. So while the Achilles is structurally sound, everything is strong. There's been no ill effects. It's just a matter of building strength and endurance, especially the endurance part. And, it just takes time. It takes a while. So even though he's playing full bore and he practiced full bore just now, he needs to keep doing this over and over and over again every day. Really blow it out, get his conditioning back, his endurance back. And so we're going to be very patient with Klay too. Klay? No, he did everything in practice, yeah.
As far as target date, you guys did very quickly about he'll go ready to go. Now that he's our practical organization has target date.
We don't have a target date. What we have is a number of weeks ahead of us for certain where we're going to play it out and, keep letting him scrimmage as often as possible so that he can build that endurance. And I would think within a few weeks, we'll be able to finally sort of get a target date, but we don't have one right now. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's really your job. I'm going to keep repeating this 2.5 years thing as often as I can. Even if Klay did not have an injury, didn't have an ACL, didn't have an Achilles, if he just put the ball down for 2.5 years and we handed him the ball right now, it would take a while for him to find rhythm. You guys have written about the fact that almost every year, it seems like in normal circumstances, Klay's a little bit of a slow starter. He needs to, find his rhythm. And so, you throw all that into the mix, and we just have to preach patience and allow him the space he needs to be able to build his endurance, build his rhythm. Nobody should expect too much too soon, but the whole idea is for him to be in a really good rhythm by the end of the season and going into the playoffs so that, we can be the best team possible. I think our fans should enjoy the process of watching Klay get better. He's going to get such an amazing reception that first night, whenever it is. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be powerful. And then things will settle down and our fans will have an opportunity to not only watch our team grow from that point, but to watch Klay's recovery and to cheer him on, because it's what he's trying to accomplish is, as far as I know, unprecedented. There's been plenty of Achilles injuries. I don't know of anybody who's had back-to-back ACL, Achilles, and then tried to come back. And so he's got a lot of work ahead of him. The good news is he's got so much behind him now that he's feeling great. Yeah, I think he especially early when he's scrimmaging, he's knocking down shots, but you can see fatigue set in much quicker than you will be able, than we will see in, a month and 2 months. And so the endurance stuff is really the key. With endurance comes the rhythm of the shot. Obviously, Klay is a guy who, along with Steph, runs more miles than anybody in the NBA, chasing ball handlers around, running off screens. It's a lot of work and hard to shoot, when you're tired. It's hard to shoot when you don't have that endurance. So he's got a lot of build up ahead before he can, really get back to being himself.
So far as Klay is progress, is it likely, conceivable, pretty much assumed that he'll be back to Fortnite, or is it still kind of gray?
It's still gray because of the different circumstances of the respective injuries.
I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
what has he been able to do behind the scenes?
He came to our coaches meeting this morning, the first one he's been to, and then went home. He's not supposed to be up off his feet for too long. So he's been cleared to come to our meetings, and hopefully before too long, he'll be cleared to come to practices as well. But I talk to him every day. He sends me texts every day with different thoughts, different ideas. He's, as you guys know, he's got a very analytical mind. He's working behind the scenes with Pabale, sending me reports, giving me thoughts, ideas of, combinations we might play, or, certain things we need to examine a little bit with our own game. So Kenny's still playing an integral role in what's happening, but he's just not full-time back in the building yet.
I know you said you haven't allowed yourself to think this far ahead up until this point, at least, but with Klay back on the practice court, do you start thinking about how to fold him in and how that's going to affect the second unit and those units going forward?
Yeah, honestly, I don't, because it feels like wasted energy, given that by the time he comes back, our team could look different, with given injuries and everything else. So we'll figure that out when the time comes. But for now, we're just preparing to try to win the game tomorrow.
Steve, do you sense this is a different time for the Warriors, a different roster, when you have two players, Jordan and Andrew, who both have 30 points on the same night, and one of those 30-point scorers was not Steph in that game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great indication of how far we've come in a couple of years. 2 years ago, we had the worst record in the league. Now we have the best record in the league. Obviously, practice today, but he told me he's feeling a lot better. The swelling in his knee went down, and he should be getting some work on the floor over the next few days. And so I think, I guess Gary would be questionable for tomorrow. Andre would be out for tomorrow.